7, the medium home price is $84,000. Cost $24,000 to pay for a home for a year. Carton of eggs was 60 cents. And here we are today, and this movie is timeless. It still sings to us. And if your face hurts right now, it's the fault of that man right there, John Patrick Shanley. Come on up, John. I feel so glad that John is here with us today. Come on in, John. Have a seat, John. I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. John made his way from Brooklyn today. He lives near where this movie was filmed. He's the winner of Oscars, Emmys, Tonys, Writers Guild Awards. He's busy in the month of August, always writing plays. And I'm told he's getting a special award today. Your career in writing and directing, and I don't know if you're going to have room with all the other awards you have in your home, but I hope you can find a place for it.
So it's come to this.
It's come to this, yeah.
I'm very honored.
Oh, my face really does hurt. That was just excellent. I have a million questions for you, but the first one I have, you were fairly young when you wrote this movie. When you wrote it, when did you know you had something hot in your hands?
Oh, I didn't worry about stuff like that. I was enjoying writing it so much that that's all that mattered to me. I mean, that alone was such a ride, such a joyous thing. Because I would write it. I was living in a tenement up in Washington Heights at the time, and I had a white princess phone. And when it would ring, I would pick it up, and whoever it was, I would say, listen to this. And I would read them whatever part of the screenplay I was in at the time. And with the greatest play, I remember reading some of it to John Turturro. I remember reading some of it to Janine Edmonds, my agent, and many others. And it was just a pleasurable time for me to be alive. I felt very bohemian. And I had an apartment with holes in the walls and cracked windows, and I would play opera, and I would write this thing, and I was like, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And that's before anybody got involved.
So then you write it, you finish it, you give it to your agent. How did it come to be that Norm Jewison came on board, and Cher and Nick Cage and all the others?
Well, I had one movie that was either in production or about to be in production. No, it was made, or it was in production. Pardon me. No, it was about to be made. And so my agent, I gave her this, and I said, I met Larry Kasdan, who'd done like The Big Chill and Silverado and stuff like that, and he liked what I was writing, and so she had a relationship with Norman Jewison. She'd done like 2 movies with him, so she said, I want to send this to Norman. And I said, good, and send it to Larry Kasdan. And then what happened was, first Norman's partner read it and called her up and yelled at her for sending him something that just was not even a screenplay. And actually the guy who did my first film, his producing partner read it and said, it's just not cinematic. Then Norman Jewison read it, and he said, I want it. And then, like the next day, Larry Kasdan read it, called up and said, I want it. And my agent said, you're too late, Norman Jewison just optioned it. And so then Larry Kasdan called Norman and said, would he be willing to step aside and let Larry direct the movie, which was the biggest favor he could have done me, because then Norman, no way he wasn't going to direct that movie. And so it was one of those things that people talk about from time to time, if you're very, very fortunate, where everything just comes together. Norman asked me who I thought should play Loretta Castorini, and I've named a couple of like New York theater actresses, because that was my lexicon. And Norman said, how about Cher? And I said, yeah, she'd be great if we could get her, you know? And he called up Cher, he got Cher. Actually, you know, Cher said she had a very tight schedule. She had 2 movies already she committed to, and she had 1 slot left. And she was a little ambivalent. She said to Norman, I think I should tell you before we sign on the dotted line that some people feel I'm difficult. And Norman said, are you more difficult than Judy Garland? Let's shut her up. And then she wanted Nick Cage. That was her idea, though he was significantly younger than her. And when you look at the movie, like, thank God. You know, the guy is just, he's so handsome. Just to start with that, I mean, he's an amazing personality and actor and everything else, but he was gorgeous to look at. I was sitting here today going like, it's hard to believe there are people like that who look like that in the world. You know?
We were talking yesterday at the Doubt screening how long it had been since you'd seen Doubt, and it had been quite some time.
Yeah.
What about this movie?
It hasn't been as long. So things come up periodically. They showed it in Central Park and asked me to come, so I've seen it from time to time. But the thing is, of course, I keep changing. My relationship to the film keeps changing, and it's a very, very emotional experience for me to watch this film. Many people who I had long relationships with and friendships with, like Vinnie Gardenia and Julie Bavasso, who was insane, and I worked with Cher years afterwards, a lot of the character actors, Helen Hampt, who's the woman in the liquor store, who says, I see a wolf in everybody and I see a wolf in you, and I did a play with her after that, and I did a play with Julie Bavasso after that, and most of these people, and John Mahoney, of course, and most of these people, many of these people are gone now, including quite recently Norman, and he was just such a great guy. And so I haven't seen it since Norman passed away, and that made it different. He did such a good job.
I was admiring the shot selection because he kept moving it around, and most fresh in my mind is the last shot. Did you get to be on set for the whole movie? It was shot in areas you live in now?
No, I was in and out. They would call me with something when there was a problem. Usually that meant either with Nick or with Cher. And then I would go in and I would sort of be the tiebreaker, and then I would go home again. Because Norman did not want me, especially, like I showed up on the first day of shooting, which was in New York on 9th Avenue, and he looked at me and he went, thanks for dropping by. And I knew my role right then, and it was that actors need to know where to look, and if I was there, they'd be looking at me and looking at Norman, and right there you're in trouble. And so I could come in when something came up and he needed a buffer, or a tiebreaker or whatever, and that didn't happen that often. But happened a few times. And then I would go, like with the shooting at Lincoln Center, I went, you know, and the big scene with Ronnie outside at night, which was one of the coldest nights I've ever experienced. I was there for that, you know, so I'd go in and out.
Now, you now live in the neighborhood where some of this was shot. And is that restaurant not in your neighborhood? And do they, when you walk in there, does anybody say,
No,
hey?
no, I've been there. I was in the Camerary Bakery when they were shooting that, and that was the actual name of the bakery, and I changed the name of the character to conform to the bakery. He had a different name before, and I've never been sorry that I did, but that gave it that you know, little tang of veracity. That's always cool.
Now, when you watch this film now, is there a character you identify with now more? Because when I listen to it, in every character I hear something. I hear your voice a lot in all the characters, but they're complete. How did you? And yet they're each in their own age. How at such a young age were you able to get inside all of those different ways of thinking?
Well, that's what actors, what playwrights do, is you inhabit a person. Like when I'm home and I'm writing, if you ever saw it, you'd laugh a lot because I'll say like, "Why did you say that?" And they say, "Why do you think I said it?" And then I might have to wait 2 days to figure out what the next line is. You know? So I'll keep doing that. You know, why didn't you say that? You know, why do you think I said it? And then on the 4th day or something, I'll be like, oh, I know. Yeah, and then I'll have the next thing. And I spend a lot of time feeling people, not for work, but just because that's the way I am. And so I feel the emotional climate in a room very intensely, and I read the emotions of the people around me, sometimes to my own detriment, that I'm not sure how I feel because I'm too busy filling up with what's going on in the room, you know. And that's it can be a curse or it can be a blessing.
So I know there are some filmmakers in the audience. You have a great, maybe one of the greatest film writers and playwriters of our time. Is there a question or some questions anyone would like to ask John, since we're so blessed to have him with us?
Who has the question?
Hi, thanks for being here. You totally deserve that teddy bear. Very much enjoyed rewatching your films. My question is, who inspires you?
Who inspires me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, John Millington Singh, Puccini, Martin McDonough, August Wilson, all kinds of people. You know, we have such a rich history in world culture, and in our lives, in our living. When I watch, you know, all the political stuff that's going on and then people's reaction to political stuff, there's so much emotion going on in there, and it's not all terrible. There's a lot of bad acting, though. And when somebody actually has a moment, I think there's, you know, one of the reasons that we've been kind of dissatisfied, disgruntled with a lot of the political dialogue is that we don't really kind of believe they're acting. And we said, we just like want somebody to say something genuine, but the kicker is that it has to be a person who has a significance in them, they're substantial in some way. And then we do that in our lives as well. We walk around and people talk to us and we talk to them, and most of what we say and what they say doesn't matter. And then once in a while somebody looks at you or says a word and the world changes for you. The colors change for you, the temperature changes for you. You know, there's that sculptor Brancusi. And Brancusi spent most of his time removing things until, if you removed, let's say he was doing a sculpture of a cat, he would make a sculpture of a cat, and then he would keep removing things that said it was a cat until there was only one thing left that made it still a cat. And what he was doing was he was trying to find the essence of cat. It can be very difficult in our layered experience of life as we develop more and more protections and more afflictions for us to return to the thing that actually makes us us. To find that sliver in the center of each person, like a tree in the heart of winter that looks completely dead, but there's that little sliver down the center of the inside of the tree that has spring tied up in it. And we all have that, and we long to have somebody access it, to release it, to free us, to return us to life. And we do that for each other all the time in little miracles that no one clocks, but change our course and revivify us and make us connect to the sky again. And you know, when I'm writing them, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to over and over again as I go on to it. I'm rooting around looking for the living things in it to greater and lesser success.
Answer your question?
I can't believe you're the same person who wrote this film and Doubt. I mean, that just kind of blows my mind. Do you know why or how Norm Jewison came up with the idea of Cher for the lead? I mean, had she done a couple minor films before?
It was her moment. She had done a couple of parts in films like Silkwood, where she got an Academy nomination, and she was already a huge international celebrity from recording, from television, and now she was like going into film, and it was, in a way, a no-brainer. It's just that I was so East Coast and so theater-oriented that I just didn't particularly think that you could get people like that. I thought she was a mythological character. Norman knew better.
When you talk about finding an essence and capturing an essence of something real and someone's true self, does every character that you write an attempt to capture an essence?
Well, that's an interesting question. I would say yes, but also where they are in the round robin of interactions going on in the story that I'm telling makes them go to a deeper or less deep place. And that, in a way, is out of my hands. It's in the hands of the story. The story has its own laws of the universe, and you must obey them whether you want to or not. If a story is alive, it will take that choosing away from you. It will take that authority away from you. It will have the authority, and you must serve it.
I think we have time for one more question, if there's a right over here.
Thank you for the movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. I just wanted to ask, the cast is so wonderful. They are such a joy to watch working together. Did you find yourself rewriting lines for them based on who they were or the chemistry that they were evincing in the moment? I just wondered if they were absolutely truthful to the script as you handed it to them, or based on who they were and how it was going, things changed.
I would say it was 99% word perfect for the script, but also not just what they said, but the actions. So like when Vinnie Gardenia stands up, slams his hand on the table and sits down, that's written. The recipe for what she's making for breakfast, Olympia Dukakis, that's written. It was all described in great detail. But Olympia did come up with a line, your life is going down the toilet, and it gets a big laugh, and it enrages me every time.
I think it's a great place to stop with John's rage. John, thank you for coming tonight. And we hope you come back sometime. Enjoy the rest of the festival. The awards are Sunday night at 7. And have a great day in Vermont. If you're visiting Vermont, there are lots of shops around. Go eat, drink, have a good time, and enjoy the festival. Thank you very much.